But before the massage, he said to me, I'll take rajbhoga for lunch today. For me, that was, imagine, I'm looking forward to not cooking. I was such a rascal, but it was difficult. Cooking, massaging, everything was at the same time. It was a balancing act. And by Krishna's mercy, by Srimati Radharani's mercy, he never complained about his lunch once in 900 meals that I cooked his lunch. Never once complained. And if you saw what I cooked for him, rice, chapatis, dal, little bit of spice, little bit of ghee to make the chaunts. He trained me that way for 3 days when I first became his servant. Not big chilies. You can't breathe in the kitchen. No, that's not what he showed me. This mode of passion, eating, mode of goodness. If I wanted to, I could lecture you all for days about the cooking that goes on in our society. I'll save that for another time. I did it in GEV with some of the cooks. Anyway, rajbhoga. So I finished the massage, and I have to bathe and dress. Prabhupada takes bath, dresses. I would lay out his clothing on the bed, dhoti. No kurta here, too hot for kurtas. Kopin, and Prabhupada would dress. Then he'd go in his room, put on his tilak. You see the photograph, Prabhupada putting on tilak. Just watching Prabhupada put on tilak, you can become Krishna conscious. You see attention. Everything he did with such care. Opening up his white bag, just watching him move the zipper. Nothing. Everything just carefully. You didn't see any, no passion. Just meditation. Putting on his opening up his mirror. On his desk, I would open up that mirror. That's in Vrindavan now. It has carved ivory. It was by Gargamuni, silver, compact mirror on one side, picture of his Guru Maharaj on the other side. A little silver katuri with a ball in it. It's chandan for tilak. It was like the size of a golf ball. And he kept it round. It was always round as it got smaller, perfectly round. And he put up his arms. You could just watch him. And you go into ecstasy. Then Gayatri. Very straight. Srila Prabhupada would sit, say his Gayatri mantra. And then as soon as that's done, you better be bringing in that plate of prasadam, whether it's the rajbhoga plate or it's what you prepared. Because that means time to eat. And he said, as soon as that time is there, he said, the stomach's ready. The stomach's ready. It actually starts, the juices begin as soon as that time is there. He said, if you don't bring it, he said, whole digestion is spoiled. You want to be servant to Srila Prabhupada? You got to get your act together. You can't be, what do they call? Anyway, nowadays we say snowflakes. You can't be spaced out. You have to have attention every moment. That's Krishna consciousness. So Prabhupada would be finishing Gayatri every day. I'd be bringing in his plate. Today, Prabhupada finished Gayatri. What am I doing? I'm in some little kitchenette somewhere, heating up the Mahaprasadam from the rajbhoga offering. Because I don't want Prabhupada to eat cold. That was one of the other things. Has to be right off of the stove, hot. Every chapati, one at a time. I didn't put 3-4 chapatis on his plate. I put one chapati. I would come into the room, run into the room, put the plate down, offer obeisances, run out of the room, make another chapati, watch it puff up, little ghee on the top, but you don't flatten it when you put you very delicately. This chapati is also person. It's like a living thing. Everything is person. That's Krishna consciousness, huh? So you bring it in on the plate, slide it on the Prabhupada's plate, still puffed up. You'd offer obeisances. Sometimes you'd see it, sometimes you'd hear. Push it down, Prabhupada. Push it down, break off a piece. And you run back out of the room. You make another chapati, run back into the room, put it on his plate, offer obeisances, run back out of the room, make another chapati. You just keep doing that. Then he'd say, dal. You run back, get some dal, put it, offer obeisances. In 15 minutes, you would offer obeisances 12 times. He never said, okay, you reached your quota. No, 100 times a day I could offer obeisances. You never reach your quota. If it wasn't for having to do service, you should just lie there in front of Prabhupada, never even get up, just lie there, prayers. But he didn't like that either. His new secretary, here, right here in the flats, I'm pointing there, I don't know where the flats were, but somewhere here on this property. That way, that way, the flats. His new secretary, Paramahamsa, you would join Prabhupada, you'd be in ecstasy. Then after a while, you'd understand, ecstasy doesn't come cheaply. You got to work for ecstasy. Don't think you're a devotee, everything, oh, well, why am I not in ecstasy? Do something. If you want ecstasy, work for it. Tapa, then you'll feel something. Huh? Paramahamsa, he would lie down there. You know, Prabhupada would ring the bell. Call Paramahamsa, his new secretary. He'd lie there. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna. And then, Om Agyanata Timidandasya. 3 times. We say everything 3. I can tell you dozens of 3 times. 3 times, boom, that's it. Nothing happens after the 3rd time. Either shoot you or become advanced, whatever it is, on the 3rd time it's going to happen. Call Paramahamsa. Paramahamsa, Namo Vishnu, he's chanting these mantras. So then the next day, call Paramahamsa, he comes in, lies down on the floor. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pistaya. Om Agyan. Get up! He said, how are you going to get anything done lying on the floor? Prabhupada was so wonderful. Even when he was yelling at you, he could make you laugh. You think of what nonsense I'm doing, you know? So the devotee comes into the kitchen. Prabhupada wants this prasadam. Yes, I'm getting it ready just now, so I'm still playing with all these bowls, and there's little katoris, different sabjis, dal, little spot of rice. And it's an hour it's been sitting on the altar, whatever, here and there. So then he comes back again. Now, Prabhupada said, that was it. Brought it in, put it. Prabhupada looked at me. You don't eat Mahaprasadam. Even Prabhupada, you just honor it. That's it. Finished. But Prabhupada's honoring that day had a purpose. That's why he would ask for rajbhoga. I've seen it happen in 3 or 4 different temples. If he asks for rajbhoga, it's because Krishna's hungry, because you're cooking garbage. So Prabhupada immediately tastes the dal. I always say, this dal tastes like mud. Then he would grab the puri, whatever, which was like cracker puri. Also has to be perfect. Everything, Krishna consciousness, we have to make perfection in Krishna consciousness. So he would reject the puri. Look at this puri. Useless. The spicing everything is bad. Radharasa Bahari, they're not eating nicely. Because, just like you now, you have these big vats. You know, you can make a huge vat of rice, 200 liters of rice. What do? You grab one piece of rice, you squeeze it. If it's done, everything's finished. A whole pot of rice. Prabhupada understood that. If you're not taking proper care of Radha Rasa Bahari, if there's a little inattention, if they're not eating nicely, if things aren't cleaned properly, and it doesn't just mean the altar. The altar you clean 20 times a day, you'll see the pujaris scrubbing everything so clean. And then they walk out the door, go back to their room. No, everything here is paraphernalia, Balaram, paraphernalia of the deities. None different. Pujari room, everything belongs to the deities. So when Prabhupada said, if you're not even feeding them nicely, what else is going on in this temple? So that was his barometer to taste the offering to their lordships. And because the lordships are saying it, things have got to get better here. And again, he did it in several places. New Dwarka, the world headquarters at that time, they would bring, Prabhupada would have them fly people from all over the country to take instruction from the head pujari, Shalavati. She was she's in New Vrindavan now. I think she's 94 years old or something, Shalavati. Malati got her to come back to New Vrindavan. She was the first head pujari of ISKCON, the world headquarters. And she's training up men, women, whoever it was, learning how Prabhupada instructed her to worship the deity. What time do we go to, Prabhu? Okay. So she was carrying the standard, 1973. So there in New Dwarka, we would always, everyone, I would leave Prabhupada's room, they would say, what did Prabhupada say? What's Prabhupada doing? Our whole life was Prabhupada. Even Krishna's on the altar. That's okay, but we don't know Krishna. We're reading about him. We're hearing Prabhupada's telling us everything. We're getting an understanding of the Supreme Personality, but what do we know about Krishna? But Prabhupada was right in front of us, his representative. So they always, as soon as I was out of Prabhupada's room, there's people on the other side of the door. What did he say? What's he doing? I heard him speak. What did he say to you? So as Shalavati saw how I was serving Prabhupada at lunch, bring him his lunch, make a chapati, bring it to him, go back and forth, back and forth. So one day she comes up to me and says, Srutakirti, she said, Rukmini Dwarkadish, Gaurnatai and Jagannath, Lord Jagannath Subhadra Baladev, on the altar on the right. She said, so I've started, the kitchen was right next to the altar, nice beautiful deity kitchen, then, 1973. So, of course, their lordships, Prabhupada said, two kinds of prasadam, opulent and sumptuous. Prabhupada's mastery of the English language. Opulent, he said, means ghee and sugar. And that's for the deities. Fry everything in ghee. Milk products, everything rich, rich, rich. And sumptuous means very, very tasty. And he said the devotees should eat very sumptuously. So much so that they don't think of going outside the temple to take anything. He said that's how tasty prasadam should be. So Shalavati says, Srutakirti, she said, how you serve Prabhupada? She said, I'm serving lunch to the deities that way. I said, what do you mean? She says, well, I put one puri on each plate. Then I run back into the kitchen and make a hot puri. And I bring them all another puri. Then I go back and bring them. And I'm thinking, yeah, this doesn't sound right. So me, I had such a wonderful thing. If I had a question, Prabhupada, no one could just like that, get a question answered. People would send me letters. Kirtanananda would send me letters. He made me Prabhupada's servant. So he had a direct line, like phone line, to Prabhupada. That time, direct meant letters. That was as direct as it got, was sending a letter. He would ask me, ask Prabhupada this, ask Prabhupada that. He gave me a picture, Radha Vrindavan Chandra. He said, wherever you go in the world, you put this picture, Radha Vrindavan Chandra, on Prabhupada's desk. So he always remembers to come to New Vrindavan. This was the politics that was going on in ISKCON. Transcendental politics. Everyone wanted Prabhupada. So I went to Prabhupada and I told him, I said, Shilavati started serving the deities, puris, one at a time. Prabhupada, no. He said, you can't go in while they're eating. They're offering. He said, once you put the offering on the altar, you close the door. He said, they get to eat 15, 20 minutes. No, he said, you can't go back in while they're taking. I said, yes, Prabhupada. I knew that. In common sense. We don't know anything except for what Prabhupada told us. That's all we know. That's disciple. You don't know anything. Lord Chaitanya, Supreme Personality of Godhead, I'm a fool before my spiritual master. Such a safe, wonderful position. I always knew I was a fool in front of Prabhupada, and I never asked questions. That was a safe question. Another time, New Dwarka. We're Americans. It was good in some ways, but Prabhupada also said we had changed disease. We had a very bad disease, infection, always making improvements. Change disease. Prabhupada set a standard, but now they're making these sweets. We had beautiful sweets. Prabhupada showed us how to make everything. But now they're making these sweets for every offering for the deities. Raisins, little cut up dates, some nuts, peanut butter, bind it all together. But, if you're going to make burfi, it's going to take you hours. But you could roll these things together with a little food processor. 15 minutes, all set for the day. And I'm thinking, not nice, because I was getting from the deity plate sometimes some Mahaprasadam and these sweets. They even puffed rice they would put in them. But this puffed rice was from major manufacturer. It was box cereal, puffed rice. Anyway, on Prabhupada's plate, always sandesh. If there wasn't rasgulla, gulab jamun available, or burfi, sandesh. That was the go-to sweet for Prabhupada. Every meal, 3 times a day, sandesh. A sweet, a milk sweet was on Prabhupada's plate. So I put 2 sandesh and 2 of these, I don't know what you would call them. They were like fast food laddu, it was like not really laddu, but fast food style laddu. And I knew a little bit about Prabhupada being with him. So lunch goes on, back and forth with chapatis, and then the end of the meal, you have your sweet. So Prabhupada has a sandesh, and he's obviously looking at these other things sitting on the plate. So I come in to clear. He says, what is this? I said, oh, Prabhupada. I said, this is a daily sweet they're making in the temple. He said, what is this nonsense? He said, I've given you the sweets. Wonderful Bengali sweets, sandesh, rasgulla, rasmalai, burfi, all these things are there. He said, why are they doing this nonsense? He said, you're Westerners always changing everything. He said, it'll destroy the movement, your changes. I came here by train from Mathura. You know, you sit there by the window, whatever compartment you're in, next to you there's tracks, and you're looking at the tracks. Never changes, do they, those tracks? You know, same, parallel lines, speak parallel lines, Guru Krishna, you know? You move 1 millimeter over, go down 10 miles, you're not going to have a train anymore. It's been derailed. Tracks are useless. This is the importance of not changing the instructions from the spiritual master. Prabhupada attributes his entire success, and I've seen it, because every word his guru said was sacred. He followed it unflinchingly, did not deviate 1 millimeter, not 1/10,000th part, the tip of a hair, did he deviate. Anything my spiritual master wrote, he said, you can read that. He didn't say anything my godbrothers wrote you can read. No, anything my spiritual master, that was okay to read. We had orders. Prabhupada's books, bas, nothing else. But he said you can read any my Guru Maharaj's books, any of Bhaktivinoda Thakur's books. They're parampara. Anything else? No. You'll just become confused. Or worse than confused. Very, very careful. Don't change.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama.